Good morning, Tehmina Khan is here in TKMaths S1. In today's video, I will explain to you a concept of coding, which is a part of the syllabus of representation of data, A-level mathematics S1, paper 6. Code is 9709. Before I begin, you can see on the top my website address and my blog address. Both have a good source of learning. Do visit it, and I hope you will find it very useful. So let's begin with the question. But before beginning the question, I will help you developing few concepts, and then we will begin the question. So first of all, recall this standard deviation formula. If you open this formula, you get this form. You don't need to, because these formulae will be given to you in MF19, which is given along exam paper. So, and mean is sigma x over n. Now in this question, raw data is not given to you, original data, rather it is given in the combined form. So sigma x minus 50 equals to 81.4. X is representing the speed of the car, and how many cars were considered in the summary? 22 cars. So there were 22 speeds, and from each speed you have subtracted, or whoever the made question, 50 was subtracted, and then it was summed. So 81.4 is the sum of those numbers. Here, from each speed, 50 was subtracted, and then number was squared, and then it was summed. So this is the meaning of the question, and we have to find the variance and the value of sigma x squared. So we need to understand here, or recall the concept, that standard deviation or variance of x, mean original data, is the same as the standard deviation or variance of the new data which you are getting after subtracting a from it. A mean the number which is given to here. It may be 50, 30, 20, whatever. And it could be plus also. It depends from the original data you are subtracting or you are adding. That depends on the question. So standard deviation of original data and the new data which comes after this coding minus a or plus a is same. You have to remember this thing, because sometimes question asked us find the standard deviation of this, and data is given in this form. So we simply find out the standard deviation of this, and we say it is equals to that. So we will see that in the question here also. Second thing is that mean of original data is equals to mean of data which you are getting after adding or subtracting. You will add something in it or subtract. Now what does it mean? Now imagine, okay, now you have to imagine here. You are in a class of 15 students, for example, and 15 students got some marks, right? Your teacher has taken the average of those. What she will do? She will add up all the marks and divide by the number of a student. So she will get the mean or the average of the class, which is this original. But otherwise, or if she does what? She subtract minus 10 from everybody's marks, right? And then she got new marks. After subtracting 10 from each mark, she is getting new marks. So it is understood that these marks will be less than this total. Yes or no? Because this is original data. From each mark, you are subtracting 10. So new data you get and you add up. This mark is definitely less, and hence the mean of this data will be less than this. Agreed? So that's why whenever you have to find the mean of original data, you look at this coding. If you have actually subtracted from each data, then after finding the mean of it, you can just add 50 into it, because this is the amount you have subtracted from each data. So you will get the mean of original data. And if you have here x plus 50, then here you will minus 50. So in symbols, it will become sigma x over n, which is the mean of x. And when you are finding mean of x minus 50, the answer you have gotten here after subtraction, right? It is called sum divided by total number, and plus 50 in this case. I'm talking about this case. So now standard deviation of x, I have just shown you this formula. If I'm writing in terms of x, will be sigma x square over n minus mean square. And if I write the same formula in terms of x minus 50, then in place of x, I will write x minus 50 square. Total number of data is same. And mean will be sum of new data divided by n square. In this case, your mean is sigma x over n. And in this case, it is sigma x minus 50 over n. So this is how you write the formula, and the answer of this will be same. So sometimes we get the answer from here, plug in here to find this out. And this is what we will do in the current question also. So now let's see the question here. So what I was explaining you, let me illustrate it to you here with the help of diagram. So suppose 22 cars, and the speed of 22 cars is x1, x2, x3, and so on. If you add up all these speeds, you will get sigma x, because x is representing original data of the speed of the car. Then from each speed, you subtracted 50, right? So basically, overall, what are you subtracting? How many times you are subtracting 50? 22 times, right? Because there are 22 data. So you can say minus 22 multiplied by 50. So whatever the sum is coming of the original, you can do directly minus 22 into 50. And here what is happening? From each subtraction, you are getting a new result. So that is your, I have just changed the color to identify it. So that is giving you new data after subtraction. So when you will add up this data, it is actually what? It is actually sigma x minus 50, because this result is coming after x minus 50. This result is coming after subtracting next speed, 50 from next speed. So you got here this thing. Now, it gives an impression to the student at times. I have seen many times students misunderstand. They think algebraically we are opening it. No, it's not algebra here. It's not that I'm doing sigma x and minus sigma 50. Right? So it is sigma x minus 22 times 50. Right? Or yes, in otherwise also you can understand it's the same thing, but then you need to understand what does it mean by sigma 50, right? How many times we're adding it up. Okay. Now let's come to the question. N is 22. Sigma x minus 50 is 81.5 given to you. Variance. So I have just applied this to find out sigma x. Now, by the way, I will tell you here two ways to find out mean. It's totally up to you which one you want to do, because I want to develop the understanding. So I have done by both methods. First one is this one, right? So now I got here sigma x. And now mean is very easy to calculate. Mean is not asked in the question, but we will need it at this time. So that's why we are calculating it. So if I have to find out mean of original data, I will divide this by 22. Yes, so my answer is coming 53.7. This is one way of doing it. What is the other way of finding out mean of x? Let's see. We know here that sum of x minus 50 is 81.4. So if I divide 81.4 by 22, I will get a mean of this x minus 50, the new data. But I have to find out mean of x, for example. So what will I do? What did I explain to you a minute ago? This mean is coming from the data which you have gotten after subtraction. So your actual mean of x will be more than this. How much more? 50 more. So you will add 50 into it. And this is the other way of doing it. It's much simpler and easy, but I'm just developing a concept, right? So now you have mean of new data and you have mean of original data also, okay? If it is in many questions, they asked immediately here, so you can answer it. Now we have to find the variance of the speed. And we have just seen that standard deviation of or variance of x, original data, will be same as the standard deviation or variance of the new data which you will get after coding, either x minus 50 or x minus 30, whatever, right? So now, to find out the variance of x minus 50, I will simply apply the formula, which was what I have just shown it to you, sigma x minus mean square over n. We have just seen this formula. So we are applying this formula and we are getting here the mean, variance. This is the variance of x as well. So you can mention it here. Variance of x is 30.5. Now we have to find out sigma x square. To find out sigma x square, you need to write down this formula, right? It was written what in the first slide I told you, sigma x square is equals to, standard deviation is equals to sigma x square over n minus mean square, right? And for variance, we square both sides. So that's why there is no square root, but the formula is same, you can see. So this we have to find out. We know this, and we know this also, right? This was 30.5. We have just calculated here, right? So 30.5, n is 22, and we have calculated this also. So now we are simply plugging in the values to calculate what is sigma x square. So this is how we will attempt the question of coding. I have tried to cover the concept so that in whatever form it is given to you, you can do it. However, I will do 1 or 2 questions more. Please press like and subscribe if you have learned something from this video, and do share it with your friends as well. Your encouraging comments will help me to develop more videos. Thank you. Take care. Allah Hafiz.